Yeah, so hello and welcome to this game of Our Last Best Hope by Mark T.S. Truman. It's this shiny thing that I impulsively bought while buying other Magpie games, I think. And then it's been laying in my shelf for a while. And of course, I'm on a mission to get all the games played, so I thought I'd give it a shot. And I have these wonderful three people here with me to do it today. Tomer, Jim, and Horst. I think I've all played with you at least. Have you all played with each other before?
Yeah, I've played with Jim one game of 316, which was very memorable. And
That's right. That's right. We have played together. I didn't remember that we had played. Like we talk to each other all the time because of the Gaunt Marches thing, but I had forgotten we had played that 316 game. Yeah.
And with Toma, I had a very memorable session, not a session, it was a campaign of the Watch, which is, I don't know, maybe it's a long time ago, maybe over a year. Toma, do you remember?
Oh man, that's a long time ago. It's way over a year. I think that's way early in my Gauntlet career. Yeah, I think I was in and I wasn't in the whole series. Like I think I was in like one or two of the games or something. But yeah, that was great. Man,
Sisters in Arms.
Bringing people together.
Yeah, and Tomes, you and I played that super cool Skeletons in Space game. That was awesome.
Yes, that was fun. Yeah, and some other little stuff. And Mikael, we've played a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, we played a lot of pick for the Queen, of course. Like would you play with everyone? But yeah, we're gonna do hopefully it's gonna be interesting to see how this works. I'm pretty interested in seeing how this game runs in practice because it's different from games I played before in a lot of ways. So first of all, Our Last Hope is it's about a crew of people on a mission to save humanity from a terrible crisis. Like movie touchdowns, I'm thinking like Armageddon, I guess, like that kind of thing. Doesn't have to be in space. They had like a golden age when I was in high school, I think. It must be like almost 15, 20 years ago, where there was like all these end of the world kind of movies. So this is the premise of our game. We'll be playing a character each that is on this crew to save the humankind. Yeah, it also says some other movies here. The Sunshine, Deep Impact, The Core. I don't even know all this, so maybe I was too young at that time to remember all these disaster movies. But that's our premise. It's a GM-less game, but I will facilitate and explain all the rules as we go along. So I even made a nice list for me for which thing to do first here. The first thing we'll do is actually there is some play sets in this game, but I thought I'd throw it out there to see if there's any like theme we'd like to explore. I think it's pretty simple to just do your own thing with this. Like the default playsets in the book is like a space thing, a snow theme, and a zombie apocalypse. Or not apocalypse, like pre-apocalypse, I guess. The ones who are driving to save from the apocalypse. But we can do something else as well if we're interested in that. Is there anyone who has any like ideas or thoughts about that?
I mean, if people have, I'd be interested to hear if people want to do something like a little more mundane, like Our World, or something a little more like, maybe we are like a colony on a planet or whatever, and something else, like something that's a little bit removed from our world. Like, what do you guys think?
So I think it's given the genre that this is trying to emulate here is explicitly we are trying to save Earth. Like it is like if we don't do this, humanity is wiped out permanently, forever, completely. So like we can do a science fictional thing, we can put it in the future or something like that, but I really want it to be like, big budget action movie silly Hollywood stakes. If we're gonna do it, we gotta, the whole world is relying on us to save everybody. Is the conceit of the genre.
Mm-hmm. So what kind of is there any specific kind of crisis that we are wanting to wanted to be is it there's definitely possibilities for aliens on meteors and that kind of future stuff, or just disease, or it could even be I could even imagine, but it has to be a little imminent because we're having a
and it's by definition science fictional somehow, because the four of us can solve the problem, which is such a movie thing that it can't be global warming, that's not a thing that the four of us are gonna find a way to fix. But yeah, it's I've played it where there's the Earth's core was gonna go nova. I think there was another one that was gigantic sun flares were gonna consume the Earth if we didn't fly out into space and deal with it and stuff like that. So all of that is the kind of something like a global pandemic started by a terrorist organization or something like that we had. This is also really great for kind of if you want to skin it as more like a Mission Impossible kind of thing. Somebody has there are nuclear bombs that are going to go off, and that's going to trigger the war that's going to et cetera, et cetera. So all of that stuff is all on the table.
I'm kind of interested in that, actually. That seems a little different than the biggest tropes.
Yeah.
If maybe something someone because even though it is only the four of us that can do something about it, it doesn't have to be because we are the only people in the world that is capable. It's just it could also be just we're the only one who could get there in time.
Yeah. Right place at the right time, and we're the ones that have got to do it. I think that's great.
Yeah. Something like a terrorist organization hijacking nuclear bombs and setting them off, or something like that.
Yeah. Can we do that? Our first world nation, I'm not naming names here, but our first world nation president who has the codes and has a very close cabal is the terrorist that has moved off, and they're maybe in it could be them going to secret vaults, and they're gonna supposedly launch all these things and whatever. So the terrorist organization is internal to the top tiers of our government, right?
Sure. Yeah, I think
as opposed to just some weird little cool,
rogue,
yeah,
yeah, no, the evil, the actual evil deep state is who we need to stop. I'm cool.
And that can involve all sorts of they may have controls over all sorts of different aspects of our government. So although we're working kind of from the maybe we're government agents, or some of us are, or who knows what, because they were the president, they've also got their tendrils, and so you don't know who to trust.
Yeah.
And there's
I think that sounds awesome. Turning this game into a more Mission Impossible style thing, I think is a super cool way to go about it. And I know Mark will be interested in hearing that, because I think it's not necessarily a thing that he had in mind when he wrote it. So
yeah, things have changed. Cool. I'm gonna say that's our crisis then.
And I haven't heard anything from Horst. So Horst, do you have any thoughts on all this, one way or the
other? Yeah, I'm cool with terrorist organizations. I'm cool with the president of, I don't know, let's say the United States is in it. I do I don't know why, but I consumed a lot of end of the world films, and I definitely had more the gigantic flood, the volcano under, I don't know, under the shelf.
Sure. So if you're if you have access to, like, if what you want to do is create a situation where you want to use your access to nuclear weapons to create an environmental disaster, I mean, beyond just the environmental disaster that would happen from nuclear war, you take a couple of 3 nukes, you crack the caldera that's like under Yellowstone Park, and that creates this like massive mega volcano that basically just, you know, pretty like it's kind of like the western half of the US just sort of disappears under like lava and smoke and all this kind of stuff. If
you think about like the president or whoever wants to deal with like take advantage of the situation, like if you wanted to go into a vault and then come out in a generation or 2 or whatever, like you don't want to do complete nuclear war over the entire Earth. That would create more of a natural disaster that you could survive and come back and like the world is mostly habitable, right? So that would probably be like a smarter disaster, right?
Sure.
What was the film with, it was a pretty stupid film, but where the whole Earth was covered in water at the end? Do you remember? It is more or less recent, and recent for me is like maybe 10 years.
Oh, was it 2012? Was it that one with like John Cusack, and they made like these great big arcs that they were racing to try and get to, and they're driving their car furiously as like everything is collapsing behind them throughout the whole movie. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I love the movie. As stupid as it was, it made no sense, like literally no sense. That was a popcorn movie. And I think like if the president would, for example, place the nukes on the North Pole or something in order to melt all the ice at the same time. Not so sure if that physically possible, if that would actually cover the whole.
It is if we say it is. Like this is the whole. This all like Hollywood physics is like a big part of this game.
Dude, totally. Like the first 2 minutes of the movie is like some scientist in a college talking about how much ice is actually under Antarctica and what you know what I mean, like all that kind of bullshit. And then
Cool. I think we have our crisis. The limit of our crisis is why is this exactly us 4 who is solving this crisis and nobody else. So it could be, I mean, in this situation, maybe we're the only one who knows or something like that, or we're the only one who's close enough to do it, or...
Yeah, I like the right people or the wrong people at the right moment. Like we are like, I don't know, we're just fishing there, or we are on the like scientists on the Arctic station. We're ill-equipped and
I mean, if this is going to be an Antarctica thing, and we're the team that is in that, you know, that observation station, then the only people positioned to do it. I think that's great.
Cool. So it's because we're like actually close enough. Is this close enough to like the let's paint a picture that's a little concrete here. Is it close enough? Which place is it close enough to? Is it close enough to where the nukes goes off? To like the silos?
Yeah, if we're gonna go, I love Horst's thing about blowing up the you know, if they're gonna crack Antarctica and melt all of Antarctica, then presumably like we're on Antarctica, so
that's
we can
cool.
get there to do it. Like, and like everything I know from having read about that and even talked to people who do that kind of stuff is that like that is just an incredibly boring place to be almost all the time, and like you end up rereading the same books and watching the movies. It's probably I'm sure it's way better now that there's the internet and stuff like this, but even then you're with this, you know, if it's been the 3 of us for 6 months and that's the only other human beings we've been with anyways, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's cool. It's like we're at this remote like missile shield base or something like that.
Oh yeah, that's even better, like an SDI type of facility or something like that.
Yeah, it's like the worst posting ever.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. We are the only one here, literally. Yeah, and
Definitely, I think like this totally works because like that scene where you have that scientist kind of like saying the pseudoscience that is the whole frame of the movie, right? Like how much ice is actually in Antarctica. That could totally be one of our partners, right? So that could be like you get the call of stuff. Who knows, right? Like that'll
yeah, and that's where
like
and like they go, you know, and just like a real iceberg, 90% of its mass is below the water and no one can see it. And this spot right here is where it's thickest. And then they point, and then the camera goes down and shh, and there's our shitty little base that we're on, like right on that spot. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a scientist there that's cursing throwing darts at the guy who got the promotion.
Yes. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I like that. And what's our plan? What are we doing?
I think we've got to get in our ice crawler and get to where the bombs are and take out the bombs, right?
Yeah, that could be it. I was imagining in my head. I was imagining the missiles coming for Antarctica, but it could also be that they are there. I'm fine with both.
Yeah, I think if they're there and they're being buried, right? Like part of the prequel of the movie is like we see like all this equipment coming from this shore. Where are these people? Where are these things going? Whatever, right? And they're like burying these nukes. The thing is, you can't leave behind soldiers to protect it unless you're willing to sacrifice them, which is a possibility. But you could do a lot of automated stuff too. So there could be like drones and all sorts of other stuff.
Yeah. So like, let me just. One of the things about playing this game that's really cool is that all of those threats we're going to come up with on the fly as the game happens. So like if you think drones are cool, you write drones down. If I think it's cool to have, soldiers in mucklucks and, and ski masks there to fight us, I can write that down and we all like get to do whatever cool thing we want.
Yeah, I like it anyway. Like fictionally, it's much easier to come up with threats if you're going somewhere in Antarctica. Yeah. So, yeah, cool. Yeah, I think that's our plan then. Yeah, and I've thrown one black die per player into the event pool. I'll get back to what that means, but pretty much the most important thing for now is that there is ways for it to get bigger, and when there is 3 dice per player in the pool, then we go until Act 2. So at 12 dice. I'll get back to like how the dice get in there. But first, we're going to create characters. And the first thing we do is that there is some roles that we can choose from in this game that our character can be. There's no like limitations in terms of that we have to be one each. We can all be soldiers, for example. But there's 4 ones. There's the engineer, the soldier, the doctor, and the scientist. Also, if you look in the character, the handout sections, you should hopefully find one character sheet each with your name on it. If you look on the first page, it should already say everything you need to put down. So you just push the edit button, and then you can write stuff down there. So,
is that the one under the little like journal tab?
It's on the journal tab, yes.
I don't have one there. Do I like? Is there a way to make a copy or something?
Okay. I didn't do it correctly. Now you should have it.
Yeah, I see it. All right, cool.
Yeah. You should also see that under the role part there, it says role ability, and I'm going to say the role abilities too, so you can know what you choose. The role ability for the engineers to spend a story point to add a white die when facing technical threats. So enhancing your advantage when it's a technical threat, pretty much. The soldier is the same, except when it's to inflict damage on a threat. For the doctor, they can spend a story point to allow a player to ignore harm, a harm die. That pretty much the way you fail in this game is to get harmed. So if you fail, you get harm. You have a harm track there, and you get a -1 for every harm you have. So the doctor gets to use a story point to negate that a little bit. And the scientists, they get to spend a story point to remove 1 black die from the threat roll, because they can explain things to become a little less serious with science. Cool. So is there anyone who... Well, actually, you can just choose, because there's no like... we have 1 soldier, 1 engineer, 1 doctor, 1 scientist here. We can all be soldiers or scientists or whatever, if you wanted to. You muted them there. Science, yes.
Yeah, I love that. I already have a... Yeah, okay. I'm still open. Horst, do you have any thoughts?
I don't know. It would almost make the most sense if we're all scientists. I don't know if it would be interesting in the sense that all the threats would probably have to be solved by science predominantly.
I mean, I don't mind being something else like an engineer. I figure if we're out there, we would need somebody who can kind of like fix stuff, right?
Yeah.
Or is kind of responsible for that.
And a doctor.
The doctor.
We're remote, right?
Yeah.
Mikhail, this is a GM-less game, right? So all 4 of us are playing characters?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I was thinking playing a doctor. Having the... Yeah, I mean, it's probably like the post-study assignment or whatever. It's a heavy student loan to pay down, and this was well paid and very boring.
I definitely like the idea that none of us are soldiers, which kind of like plays into that whole us versus the world. Yeah, I'll do engineer.
Cool.
Jim? Scientist.
Yeah, scientist, yeah. Yeah, science with 3 exclamation points. That's...
Okay. So in addition to choosing roles, you can choose your name, and also you're defining 2 touchstones. It's what you brought with you to the mission and what you left behind. You can use these during the game to get an extra white die. So it's pretty much like a flashback to show you a bit about the character's past and who they are.
What was the engineer role ability again? I'll put it in my notes.
Yeah, it's a spend a story point to add 1 white die when facing technical threats. For this,
Can remove a black die or something?
that's for the scientist. Yeah, spend a story point to remove 1 black die from the threat roll. So yeah, when you're done, let me know.
was the touchstones again?
They are what you. It says on you, if you look at your character sheets as well, it should be stand there, but it is like something you brought with you here, and something you left behind.
And that could be like emotional or
yeah. I mean, it's a very story gamey thing here. It's just like something to anchor your character, I think. And yeah, it's the epic whenever you're doing the crazy heroic thing, and you get the flashback scene to whenever, yeah, leaving behind your kids before the mission or something like that.
Yeah, and I think and the thing you brought with you is like, I think you can like give it up or destroy it to give you some extra juice for, kind of like carry style.
Yeah. Well, I brought a Nintendo Switch, so we'll see. It's not very useful. Yeah, so the next thing we are doing is, are you all okay? Are you good, by the way? Ready-ish? Yeah, I'm just being an annoying facilitator, moving things along. So now we'll create some story cards, which is going to define something about our characters. The first two, they are something you'll define for yourself, so we'll do them first. So pretty much you will have like a sane card and a crazy card. Pretty much that what you do is just to write the name of the other character, and keeps your character sane or drives your character crazy. So, well, and imagine this is actually even easier given that we're alone in Antarctica, and to imagine like someone driving someone crazy. But yeah, pretty much it's just writing which character that is. What could be useful is, I guess, if we changed our character sheet names to be the name of our character, so it's easy to see. And maybe take our name and parentheses behind. Oh yeah, maybe actually let's introduce our characters before we do it. I can go first. I'm playing Dr. Emily Jones. I think she is in her early 30s. She's just finished she's just become a doctor for reals. And I think she worked maybe like at the hospital for like a year, and then she found this posting, and I think I mean, I don't think she talks a lot about why someone in their early 30s would want to go on a thing like this, but she's here now, and I think she's like a fairly like outgoing and like kind of like bubbly person, which is probably annoying to some of you in this enclosed space, but also like someone who looks after the people here. I think probably like I mean, she's a pretty like bubbly, smiling person. I imagine her being like something like that. Often seen playing on her Nintendo Switch. You want to go next, Horst?
Well, just finished my character, so I'm playing. Let's see, I'm playing Björn Jansen. I'm not sure what nationality he would be. I mean, you're the expert. Is he Norwegian, Danish, Swedish? Sounds Nordish to me.
He's Scandinavian.
He's Scandinavian, exactly.
Yeah, it sounds Norwegian actually. Jansen is Norwegian name.
Cool. He's a bit nerdy, I think. Introvert. He does play in a big band, and he plays the saxophone, which should all piss you off, or at least most of you. I don't know.
What did you leave behind?
I left behind my band, and I talk about it a lot. I talk about music and that I miss playing with other people, and that playing solos is boring. But it's the only thing I have.
But you brought your saxophone.
Yes, and I'm practicing, because to be a jazz musician, you need to practice a lot.
Sure. And Mikhail, did you tell us what you left behind?
I didn't, but I left behind a promising career. I think Emily was always like a very high performer, and yeah, everyone was very surprised to learn that she went on this mission to Antarctica. You gonna next, Jim?
Sure. I'm Dr. Bolette Alvarez from Buenos Aires, Argentina. I am also a scientist. Botany and biology are my specialties. So I'm here like studying, microbes in the ice and the penguins and the, whale migration patterns and all that kind of stuff. And what I brought with me is my my orchids. So I have like in our greenhouse or our terrarium or whatever it is. I have half a dozen. I have a variety of orchid from each continent that I carefully tend and basically spend all my time keeping my orchids alive, because it's incredibly difficult to do here. So this is the challenge that I've set myself, is to bring them home intact and alive after going through this thing that we've done. And so I think I'm in my early 40s. So I have done crazy missions into the Amazon rainforest and the tundras, the tundra in Siberia and the desert Southwest in the United States and all this kind of stuff. So I've been all over the world. So this is not a big deal to me. This is just another posting. And I suspect I'm the one that I don't get annoyed, I don't get pissed off or grumpy, but I just kind of roll my eyes that this is causing a problem for anybody. This is just another posting. And if you want to be, if you want to see the world, this is the kind of thing you got to do if you want to see the world. The thing that I left behind is my surfboard. Because, man, more than anything else, everywhere else I've gone in the world, if I had any kind of access to a beach or even a river where I could just paddle it or something like that, that surfboard always made the trip with me. And it's battered and scratched and has stickers on it and all this kind of stuff and everything. But I just couldn't, our weight allowance was so tight that it was the orchids or the surfboard. So I brought the orchids, but left my surfboard behind.
I love that there's we see that through a picture, right? There's this always the significant other pictures, and it's you and the surfboard.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, with it that thing where you stick the end of it in the sand and you got your arm around it and like this and stuff. And and I think there's pictures of the pictures that I have hung up or of me all over the world surfing, from when I was in my early probably late teens, looking super hot in a in a little 70s bikini with it, up through just recently with the full wetsuit and everything, because I was going surfing, you know, in the Aleutian Islands or something like that. And there's like a different kind of tanned, blonde, pretty surf girl there with me in the picture. Sometimes I've got my arm around her, and it's like a different one in every picture, and she's roughly the same age as I get older. So like, but no, you know, yeah. And but definitely like very, very much like a different girl in every picture as I go all around the world. So
cool. I love that character. And the last of the characters.
So I'm going to be playing Darby Nagabhushana. Oh, sorry, Sunil Nagabhushana. I changed his name. So Sunil is going to be our engineer, and he's an American. I think like out of the movie, like this is one of the new up and coming like hot guys that are not white, and it's like a big deal right now that he's actually going to be like one of the main characters of this movie, you know, like outside of like in the real world, right? But Sunil is going to be playing I think he's going to be married right now to that scientist that we see back at, you know, back in the country making those speeches about, you know, all the ice under Antarctica and all that kind of stuff, right? And he left behind her as well as their daughter. And I'm totally cool if she is like an ex-girlfriend or something of somebody here, if that's a thing, but like it doesn't have to be a thing. And then what I brought with me, you know, I mean, I have the engineering, like all the tools and everything that I have to use to maintain and help upgrade and help you guys on projects here at the base. But I brought my personal mini drone. So it's like a little drone, and I call it Space Bee. And I think even maybe like the opening shot when we're like seeing this like little ice base is kind of from the point of view of Space Bee, right? Like we're kind of like exploring it as we're kind of like zooming around. Yeah, so that's Sunil.
So I have a question for, we know that Sunil is young and hot, and we know that Colette is in her 40s. How old is Emily?
In her early 30s.
Early 30s. So I want to play an older character. Björn is, I think, at the end of his career, or maybe like in his 50s, late 50s, a biologist. Probably was hoping for, I don't know, a Nobel Prize or something at some stage. Never happened. And this is the last post of his obviously failed career.
Cool. So yeah, now you have some good grounds to put who keeps your character sane and who drives them crazy.
So is there anything built into the rules to keep us from like all choosing the same person, or?
No.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's not. I'm gonna double check real quick. Because you're not supposed to reveal any of the cards to the other players, so... I mean, I guess we all get crazy over Björn, right? No. That's so... I was just doing a trick, of course.
Okay, so we just pick whomever?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we don't reveal it.
So how this works is that you can use these cards in a scene to like show... like play up to a situation where someone keeps you sane or someone drives you crazy, and you get 2 story points for it, if I don't remember correctly. Yeah, it also says on doesn't. Well, you get 2 story points for them.
So it says, so just like, and maybe you guys asked this and I didn't quite catch it, but we're doing these 2 secret cards, and then it says in theory we pass them to the left and right kind of thing. Is that so? You're saying we're just kind of like making it up for a specific character, or
not these 2. For the next 2, for your secret and your fear, you're doing that. But you're doing it for your character. So your character has a fear and your character has a secret, and you pass it to one of the other players, and they get to do things with it in the game.
Okay, so the keep my characters sane and crazy is not a passing thing.
No.
But again, how does it tie in with the other characters? We're choosing somebody else.
Yeah, you're choosing somebody else that drives you crazy and somebody else who keeps you sane.
Okay. Do we say anything about what it is, or we just kind of like just name a character, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's would be too difficult, I think, to try to hit something specific with this in a scene when they don't know what it is. Or at least more challenging. Yeah. So just the name is enough. And yeah, so for your secret, firstly, like I'm gonna also like explain what these cards does. I think I already kind of did that with the crazy sane card, but pretty much what happens is you can play the card when the character does something that helps you keep yourself together or drives you crazy. So if you're in a scene with them and they are doing something that you think fits, then you can just establish that this is the thing that drives you crazy or keeps you sane. So just play the card, stop, explain what they're doing is doing that, and then you get your story points. Yeah, and the next card is the secret card. How that works is that this is like a secret about your character. You're specific about what that secret is here. It's good if the secret is something that is a little would be a little embarrassing, or at least like compromising if somebody else knew. How this works in play is that you either can play the card before the scene starts to force the character to reveal their secret during the next scene. So pretty much it's like, okay, so I'm playing my I'm having Jim character's secret, and I'm just playing it before the scene, and let's say, okay, let's see how we get to know about your secret. Or you can do it, play it in the scene, and reveal the secret as your player character. I mean, in either way, you also get 2 story points for doing that. Is that understandable?
Yeah. How do we mechanically, not how do we technically play the card? Like, if I don't know who is my left, who's left to me, for example.
Yeah, I made a table order here down here. So what you technically do is just, so to my left is Tomer, and then to my right is Jim. On the table order, do you all see the table order? It's under like the stars. And the way you do it is, I think I wrote it down in the thing here. You just like do /W, and then there should come up like a list of names, and you can whisper to them. Yeah. So examples of it would be like, my father knew about the crisis decades ago, but told no one, blah, 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 something like that. Or I was arrested in my home country for experiment. Okay, that was a bad one. Experimenting on children. I'm not sure if I'd like not to have that secret in the game, maybe. So
I think we just X-carded that one.
Yes.
I'm down with X-carding that one.
Well, X-carding examples while reading them, that's good.
So just to clarify, are we on a military base, or are we just on like a scientifically funded site, right?
Sounds a bit like the latter, I think.
Yeah, no, I just that's what the way I read it, but
United Nations, baby.
Yeah. Now let's see if this whisper thing works here.
what was the example of fear?
I haven't gotten to that yet.
Oh, okay. So we're still just doing secret, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So hopefully you should get a message from me now, Tom here.
Yep, I got it.
And hopefully only you. So that's maybe worked. Good.
So when you do /W,
Yeah.
you're saying a list of names should come up, or do you do like an @ sign or something, or no?
Yeah. I did at least for me when I did /W, and oh, it didn't now actually. Oh.
Oh, \W?
Yes.
No. /, right?
It was / yeah. I did get it up earlier, but now for some reason.
Yeah, it's not coming up for me.
Oh, strange.
Oh yeah, /. No, I can see in the green welcome to Roll20, it shows those shortcuts.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It's
Oh, you know what? I think you need to, if you don't put a letter, it doesn't seem to come up for me. As soon as I put like an A, for example, it'll bring up the names that have A in it or something.
Yeah, that actually works too. Yeah. So if you do /W and then do start writing, it should come up. Is anyone still having problems with it?
Yeah, I don't know how. Like I do the / in all shapes and forms, and the W as well, but there's nothing coming up. Not sure why.
So who are you writing to?
To Jim, right? So maybe if you do /W space J, does it come up?
Oh, does it have to be left ahead?
Or L? Yeah, sorry, it's left ahead.
Oh yeah, cool.
Yeah, that.
I don't know how the L does the trick for some reason.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah, the test is working.
Maybe like we could send the secret, and then after you receive the secret, like whisper back that you've received it or something like that.
Yeah, or just say it, I guess.
Well, I received your secret.
Because it's not secret that it's a secret, after all. Cool, so... Now, meanwhile, I'm also going to just give you a death card. I'm going to get back to what that means, but... For the feared card, it actually it works a little differently than the other cards is the fear card you play when the person whose fear it is dealing with a threat. Then you can play it, and what it does is that it adds another black die to their challenge roll, so it makes it more difficult for them. But you get 2 story points. So you can just say, okay, so you're doing this with Emily is doing this, but suddenly the lights go off and you're afraid of the dark, for example. And that one you can send to the right.
So the secret we're sending to the left, right?
Yes. So you're sending it to me.
Okay.
I have received your secret. Palette. Fear. And then, yeah, that's one is to the right. Cool.
Yeah, I got your fear palette.
So, are we all afraid? Good. The next thing we'll define is our mission assets.
Sorry, I don't think I received. Have I received a secret yet for the fear? I should have gotten it from you, Jim, right?
No, from me.
Oh, from you. Why don't I see it though?
Oh, weird. It says to Neil, and then.
Yeah, we didn't see it here, so.
Okay.
I don't see it.
I'm trying again.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you could send it to the character name. Like for me, when I was sending the whispers, I was sending it to your player names.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Should I?
No, that worked.
It shouldn't matter, right?
I don't think so. Well, maybe because I haven't assigned the character names. I could do that, I guess.
No, I'm just wondering because like because I don't see the one, because it sounds like Horst, you send it to Sunil, right? But I don't see it here under my thing, so maybe that's.
I've sent my secret to Belette. So, Jim, did you receive the secret?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
Why I didn't?
But hey, it's not a problem. One more. Also over there.
Let me know when you send it through. Oh, there. I see. I just see it. It just came through.
Yeah, I think it was because, well, no, it's technical stuff. Because your character sheet wasn't assigned just to you, so then probably didn't work.
Got it.
Good old programming.
Not my fault.
No.
That's what I heard.
Yeah. So we're also going to define some assets that we have on our mission. These are something that we can use for our journey, like for example, like a vehicle or something, or like it could be a gun, or it could be anything. We can use these during scenes. We can use a story point to get extra white dice from using an asset during a scene.
How many of those do we get?
We get one each.
Sweet.
Or one asset each.
But they're communal, right? Anybody can use them.
Yes.
So we should each just come up with one, I guess, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna say a snowmobile. Yeah, you can. I don't know if you can write it in yourself, but if you can't, you can just put it in chat, and I put it in.
Let's just go. If we just go down the row, then we won't duplicate anything.
Yeah, we can do that. That's true. You want to go first, Omer? Which assets are you bringing it to the table, to the pole, so to speak? A good thing is to make it something that's useful in several situations, as for storytelling purposes. But it's not like doesn't have.
That's what I thought. There's no like. I would rather have huskies, and I'm a big fan of.
You beat me to it, brother. The dog sled team is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So then the dogs could help in different ways than just the vehicle, but just the snowmobile.
I'm fine with just doing that.
Yeah, plus anytime you're in the Arctic or Antarctic or whatever, you got to have your cool husky team.
Yeah.
The audience for this movie is going to care way more about them than they are about any of us. So that's
true.
Maybe it's going to be some kind of like outdoor travel kind of like gear. Do you know what I mean? Like a pop-up tent and pop-up like environmental control type thing.
Emergency shelter. Yeah. That's cool.
Do you have one, Jim?
Oxy-acetylene torch rig.
Oxy what?
Sorry, an oxyacetylene torch. Mm-hmm. So it's like a great big industrial blowtorch that works like even underwater because it's got its own fuel supply and stuff like this.
Okay.
Like basically in a kind of like industrial, like the kind that's big enough that it's got like a backpack and you can, you could use it to, like dig a tunnel through the ice if you wanted to. Like that's a hypothetical use of it that might
sounds useful.
Up. Yeah.
And Horst, what do you bring to the Antarctic?
Like a flare gun. You can still shoot people with it. I mean,
sure, you can.
Multi-use.
2 uses.
Mm-hmm. And also, every mission has an additional resource in the fight against the end of humanity, and that's the massively integrated multi-purpose informal computer, which is an AI. So apparently, we're in this abandoned mission, but we have an AI, the first AI even. So and also in the game, in the scenes, someone will play the AI, and the role of the AI is pretty much to answer questions about the world. I'll get into who would be playing that at any moment, but that's also a thing. And then I think You also have received a death card each. It should be above your portraits. If you click it, you should see a card. And how you use this is that you can use it in a few ways. But if you have fill your harm track, you can use it to avoid death at this point. But then you will be committing to dying like this in the second act using this prompt. You can also at any time, if you are in this situation that feels fitting to use it, you can just use it and die. And you will by doing this, you will also you will get 2 story points for cheating death. You'll get 3, I think, to if you're doing it in play, and you can also just.
And if we volunteer to do it, we get a big pile of bonus dice to try and beat the problem.
Yeah.
Whatever threat it is that we're up against. Yeah.
Yeah, you get 3 white dice for the final roll, and immediately add 2 story points to the plan. If you choose your death at any time, yeah.
And the cool thing, and the sorry, yeah, but sorry, I just want to. Do you mind if I just? And the cool thing about that is you don't have to worry if you do that early, because the flashback mechanics mean you'll still get scenes. So like you don't, like if you choose to, if we're only an hour and a half in or something like that, you can it makes sense for you to die to help the team. You go ahead and do it, but you keep playing. It's not like you're sitting out the rest of the game.
Yeah. Yeah, and the last thing we'll do before we start playing is that we'll establish some threats. If you look over at the right side, there's some threats here. We're going to create one for each. And I think this time I'm going to like a good some tips to make a good threat is that it has to be immediate, like it's something that happens right now. It is local, it's something that's here, and it's non-negotiable. So it's something that you can't get out of by just going around it. It's like that's a good threat. For example, starvation would be a bad threat, but maybe getting out of oxygen, starvation of oxygen would be a good threat. You want to go first, Horst, for threat?
You said on the right side, is there like a list or something, or like?
Yes, there's a 1, 2, 3, 4 bar just here.
Oh, okay. It's the number. So okay.
Yes, nothing. It's not a threat there yet.
And do we have to specify in which act the threat materialized? No.
No. How this works in game is that in every scene there will be a threat, and there's a person who chooses the threat from the list. So it's just like there is 4 threats here you can choose from. You can choose whichever you want.
Yeah, I would like to have like a natural hazard, like a terrible snowstorm.
Yeah, a sudden snowstorm. So I am imagining this as being like a snowstorm that's actually like hitting us. It's not like it's a snowstorm in the horizon. It's like this, just whoa, I'm in a snowstorm.
Yeah, it's a snowstorm, and the problem is we can get lost, freeze to death. The dogs could theoretically die, like all kinds of bad things could happen.
Yeah. Oh, whiteout. Yeah, that's a good one. I played a game in Con here last year, which was about the race to the South Pole. I think with dogs even. I don't remember who it was. Scott, I guess. Went terrible. And yeah, there was whiteout. It was good. I'm gonna say avalanche. And then Jim, you have 1, 2, disaster to go?
Yeah, I think if there's like other security teams and stuff like that, there are gonna be yeah, I'm gonna let's call this a kill team.
Nice. Cool.
No mincing words with that one.
Nope. Cool. So pretty much now we have set up our game.
I think Tomer gets one, right?
You're adding something else in Whiteout, or was it just for?
Oh, Whiteout wasn't me. That was something else.
Sorry,
Is that
was the
snowstorm,
name,
right?
That's what you call a snowstorm.
Oh, sorry.
Antarctic, yeah.
My bad. You go, Tomer.
Yeah, we didn't have drones. We're gonna have drones. Fucking drones.
Yeah, that's.
I was gonna go environmental, but we already got one of those.
Yeah.
We need the drones.
Cool. I'm happy with the drones. Yeah, I think actually let's grab a small break before we start playing and getting into the rest of the rules. Let's say we're back at 20 past. Cool.
Have you all excuse me, already posted your favorite games of 2018?
I actually did just before the game.
It's on my to-do list. I did it last year. It's always fun.
I wonder what your favorite game is. What could it be?
It's going to be a surprise. No one knows.
Oh, great. I look forward to hearing about it. Yeah, so the first the first scene of the game is something called the choice. In a normal game, that would be where the mission changes in a way that makes it more dramatic. I think like for our setup, it doesn't. I think it makes sense that it's just when we discover that there's this thing going on, because we're not on a mission really, or not on that mission anyway. We're not gonna have a threat in this scene. It's just like having a scene where everyone is present to like what does it look like when we discover what's going on. So yeah, I think like how do we discover it? Does anyone have any suggestions?
I think it's got to start with the like, we have all kinds of instruments out all over the place that are monitoring things.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can do the thing where like my little like whatever like cameras that I have set up to watch the penguins go dark. So then I ask I ask Sunil if he can send his drone out to take a look, and bit by bit we gather a little piece of evidence that something is really wrong until it's revealed that there's this that there's this thing that we need to deal with.
Who's the one who is the one who puts the pieces together?
Which sure seems like it would be Sunil, because he would be able to look to like know what's going on and all that kind of stuff. Like I kind of like the idea. Each of us contributes a little piece to it, but boy, I sure think it would be Sunil who goes, who's like, that's that thing where like there's this like metal shape, and then the drone like is flying closer and closer to it, and then like the camera until we see the little nuke symbol on the side of whatever it is that they've got buried in the ice there.
Yeah, and I think there's little like hints that came out, like we saw, some government boat, like a U.S. government boat, not like like earlier in the thing, and Sunil does have a background that's a little bit military from early on. So like I think he's able to identify some of the military-esque stuff around the warhead and other kind of stuff, right?
It would totally be a submarine, because like submarine just says like people are up to no good.
Yeah. I bet like that the thing that really gets it to click for Sunil is that like Emily is like jokingly saying like, oh, I'm sure it's like the government who has come up to like blow up Antarctica for climate mitigation or something stupid shit like that. And I think like Sunil's like, oh fuck. Yeah, and I think like that's probably what has just been said. Like when we enter the scene, like we see like the flashes of like all the clips of us seeing suspicious things, and then we're in our like small research facility or whatever, or shack as we like to call it. Emily is sitting with her legs on the table in the common room and playing her Nintendo, and just like says that to Sunil when you talk about the thing you saw with the drone. And also I'm playing Mimic for this scene. So if anyone has questions about World, I'm also going to answer that.
Wait, so you're playing the what? What is it called?
The Mimic. It's the AI, our research AI. So yeah, I'm like, oh yeah, I bet it's the fucking government who's blowing up Antarctica for climate mitigation. That sounds exactly what something like they would do. Stupid politicians.
So all the stuff we just talked, sorry to jump back, all the stuff we just talked about, are we role playing this stuff out, or?
I mean, if we don't want to, we don't have to. But
that's what you were talking about doing right here, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think there's probably Sunil turns here and is like, huh. I want to just like preposition this with like the early part of the movie was maybe seeing Sunil's partner, which is Dr. Dorothy Smith, right, doing that whole talk about the BS that Jim did really well about, like, the top of the iceberg and blah 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 blah, right? So like all that was kind of like set up earlier, right? And
pre-credits.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I think Sunil here is like that would have some pretty large ramifications, actually.
Yes, it would be a climatological disaster. I don't even have the models to project out how that would work. I mean, I'm not a geologist, so Dr. Jansen, can we just run some and I walk over to the whiteboard and I like Dr. Jansen and my we've got a bunch of nucleotides all drawn out on there and stuff like that in whatever in dry erase, and I just do the thing where I like this. And so this is the part where we make the audience understand exactly what's going to happen. And so Dr. Jansen, I'm like, so if the volume of, and just start scrolling numbers and stuff like that. Dr. Jansen is, and if my math is correct, and I kind of look to you, the effects would be catastrophic. And
I think there's the moment where we both stop and look at each other and say at the same time, the big flood.
Yes, yeah. You know what? I think I say, well, if this is true, then the effects would be pause, and we both say biblical at the same time. That's yeah.
And I think this is where Sunil speaks up a little bit and says, I mean, that is a biblical flood wasn't a problem if you were Noah. And there's always somebody who will who could possibly gain or survive. Like, it's not always catastrophic to everyone.
Not if you have enough money or power, I guess.
Or planning.
Oh, fuck.
This is insane. I mean, this can't possibly be true. This has got to be some sort of a maybe it's a drill. Maybe they're setting this scenario up in case terrorists do something like this, and they're going to train operatives to try and.
I've done drills before, and it's kind of like unsaid that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think he talks about the fact that he was in the military, but he's like, I've done drills before, and when you do drills, you do them with drill equipment. You don't do it with anything that looks quite so real, And I think we get this little shot of like the warhead. And, I think he points out like one or two things that are like, this does not look like a fake.
What do we do? It's we've got no Well, okay. I mean, just we've got to get on the satellite phone and call somebody and let them know.
Yeah, and I think like Emily's already like getting up. No, we have to. We can't. We have to do it ourselves. We're way too far away. No, they're not going to get here in time.
Not just that, I don't think we should send a message, like an open message on the phones. Like, we don't know. I mean, if they're out here, this is like, you know, not sovereign territory, right? Like this is open land here. Like if they're already out here doing this, they could be listening in, right? And I think Sunil's already like going over to his station and like, you know, talking, like you can hear him saying some words in the background, like encrypted protocols and blah, 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 blah. You know, like he's obviously going to put something on the line.
And Björn lowers his voice and says, maybe they're listening right now.
I like that everybody like stops for a second and like looks at each other.
Yeah, I think actually that's like the end of the scene. It's a perfect end. Cool. So we're now going into spotlight scenes. So pretty much we're going to go rounds, have a scene each. This works like most story games. You say who's there, what's going on, and where you are. Except that we have some additional roles, and that is the person to the left of the player. If they are not in the scene, they're playing Mimic. If not, it goes to the next one. And the one to the right, the next one to the right of the player who's setting the scene, who's not in the scene, is responsible for establishing a threat. So pretty much how this works is that whenever the scene is coming to either to a climax or to like a natural close, you introduce the threat. And I think like don't be afraid of cutting in either, but like maybe make sure like, I mean, you're all experienced gamers, you know that. Be a little thoughtful about when you do it. Is there any questions about that?
A little, but I think I'll like watch as we start and then see how it goes.
Yeah. Okay, so
one last question for Jim. So Belette is a biologist? Thought she was a geologist.
Oh, you know what? Let me switch that, because you said you were a biologist, so I will be a geologist slash.
The other way around, because you also have your orchids, so it makes total sense.
Like, that's my hobby. That's like my thing that I super enjoy. That's like my thing I enjoy doing. That is not my professional thing. So yeah. I'd started as a geologist and I thought about it, but actually, there's if you're a biologist and I'm a geologist, then that gives us a range of disciplines, which is a good thing. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think like a tip to for establishing the scenes is that think about what you're curious about finding out about. Not necessarily that it has to be like the action thing, because the person with a threat is going to introduce it either way. So it's a good way to also explore the relationships between the characters a little bit in your character, with your story cards and that stuff as well. Because it's kind of important in the game to kind of like get as many story points as possible. So it's in that way, like the mechanic is driving that way as well. And the first person who gets a scene is the one to the left of me, so that's you, Tomer, and that means that I will establish the threat, and that you say who's in the scene first, I guess.
And would I specifically avoid your character because you're doing the threat, or it doesn't really matter, right?
It doesn't really matter. No.
Let's do one. I'm kind of interested to see. Oh wait, why aren't all the characters showing up under the journal now? I see 3 of them. I mean, I'm there.
Oh, I'm gonna.
Emily is missing.
Yeah.
There you go.
Cool. I think I want maybe a scene with Bjorn. Well, let me see here. No, you know what? I want to see a scene with Dr. Billet Alvarez, and I think this is in the area where the, I think maybe we have to like this is very small quarters, right? And so maybe there's a little bit of friction around the shared space where we have these orchids, but then there's also like, where my workspace would be. And especially as the engineer, I don't think my workspace, like I have to make my own workspace. I'm not the scientist, right? The scientists have like dedicated like lab area, right? So maybe there's like some conflict there or something. But maybe that's also that could be because it's kind of like the not sciencey area and a little more of like the recreational area. It's almost like the living room, if you will. There could also be like that's where there's some panel that gives us either like news or other kind of like updates, like weather updates, or who knows, stuff like that.
So, what is it that you like to watch? Like, what's that thing that you have on the TV there?
I think, let's see. I think it's like really horrible B movies, right? And in fact, maybe the like the way the scene starts is actually a little bit of a film that almost looks like it's in kind of like the same kind of environment, like icy, hallways and stuff, right?
The original Thing from the 1950s.
Yes.
Exactly what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
And so maybe there's even this moment where anybody who's not familiar with it would be like, wait a minute, who are these characters? Like, what's going on here? And then it's like, oh, got it. And, it kind of like pans out a little bit.
I come walking in and I'm holding a spritz bottle, like a little spritz bottle. And I just walk in and I see you there watching your movie. And what activity are you engaged in right now?
I think I'm actually like working on Space Bee, right? So like, you can see like a little tray of all these little screws and wires and things, and I'm just kind of like fiddling. And every once in a while, like I'll stop, look up at like a scene, and then just kind of like keep at it.
And I come in, and I say, and I'm holding the spritz bottle in my hand, and it's empty. And I say, Sunil, I've explained to you again and again and again that the pH for the orchids you can't use this for your cleaning solution. I have to sterilize it and boil it so that I can use it to spray the orchids.
And, I think maybe there's like, some kind of like scream in the background on the film right there. And he kind of like takes a big sigh and turns around and, is like, look, I understand. I think what I'm hearing here is you need some water. And he like grabs his glass and hands it over to you. And it's like his drinking glass, right? I mean,
And I take it and I'm holding it and I said, and if that is what you heard, then there is a problem with your ears because that's not what I said. And I just kind of put the glass back down on the I put the glass down on the counter next to you, like bunk hard enough that like it rattles a couple of the screws and maybe one of them sort of rolls off the edge of the table. And I kind of throw my hands up and I walk over to the, to like the little sink where we have all our dishes, and maybe there's even like a little, and start like I crank up the hot. I get a little pot, I fill it with water. I put it on our little 4-burner, propane stove. And what this means is I'm going to boil the water and then put the thing in there while that's happening. And
I think while you're doing, like, I'm looking across the room at you starting to boil this water, and like you see me turn, and right above my desk there's a little mug, and there's a little like thing of tea, and I'm already like setting that up, like it's obvious, like
Okay. And I kind of, so the water is on there, and I walk back over and I kind of look over your shoulder and I say, "What's wrong with it?"
And what are you referring to?
The
little space bee?
The space bee, yes. What's wrong with it? I say.
And I go, "What's wrong with her?" And and I point over at your plants, like, "Hello, who are you to talk?" Right? And I pick her up and I just say, honestly, I think she's fine. I think I want to improve how long she can last out in the snow. So I'm giving her a little bit more insulation around some of the open points. I think she's ready for, her first long flight mission.
Well, it's a good time for that. I have to admit, it's an incredibly useful device, and it's been very helpful in all of our research. So I'm sure that whatever improvements you can make to it will be nothing but helpful.
And there's a couple of, like, I just interrupt every once in a while when you say it, and I'm like, she, like, like you can just hear me like correct the pronoun. Like
I completely completely ignore that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, which is kind of awesome. That's working. And from the way that I completely, totally dismiss it, it is clear that this thing drives me crazy.
Right.
And this is where I'm gonna reveal that my person who drives me crazy is you. Which means what is that? I get a couple of story points or something? Is that how that goes, Mikhail?
Yes, 2.
Okay. So
you have them on your sheet. You can just note.
Yeah. So I'll add the 2 story points. And I kind of get all the way through that, and then and I think that's when the water starts to boil.
Maybe making that sound, right? Like
yes, yeah. And I'll say, "Pardon me," and I'll walk back over to where the water is, to where it's boiling, and I'll take a like a little, like a pot or something, and pour the boiling water in, and then drop the thing in, and then I will look back, and you've got your tea bag set up.
Yes.
And I sigh, and I walk over with the kettle and kind of like proffer the kettle.
Right. And I think there's one last part, which is like, I pick up, I'm like, "Do you want to see the space bee's jacket?"
If I
You're
say
gonna
no,
like it.
I say, if I say no, you're going to show it to me anyways. So sure.
And I bring up this little sheet, which, I'm going to put, like, obviously, like, I guess I'm insulating the thing. And it has on the back of it, a little orchid design, right? And, I'm like, huh? And
I roll my eyes and sigh, like it's so pathetic and transparent a gesture. Like the sigh says, "It's ridiculous, but I understand that I will be viewed as churlish if I don't if I don't acknowledge it." And I say, and what I say is, I say, "Well, I appreciate the gesture, but there should actually be 5 fronds instead of 4. I don't know whether it's too late to change it, but I appreciate the gesture. And
I'm like,
pour water for your tea. Yeah.
I'm like, never too late. And I think this is where I want to reveal that your character drives me crazy with all her orchids and plants. Like, I hate them around. Yeah. And in fact, all these little pieces that I have on the jacket are taken from one of your plants, like from the back end of your plant. You haven't realized it yet, but like I've cut off like some of those and like kind of laid them into this little insulating foam.
Yeah, and I think this is where I introduced the threat. So I think like we have like a small cutscene from this like very mundane situation here to like someone who's like standing on top of like a mountain above our like small or the research station. And I think you see like some military people there, and the camera like zooms down on them, and they say the person standing like on the mountain with like a few people saying like, "Are you sure we're going to make an explosion up here? Wouldn't that kill those people down there?" And I think like you hear on the other side of the radio just like, "Yeah, but they can't see this. It's too important." And I think like you hear this, we're back down in the research facility again, and you hear this like big explosion, and then you see like the rumble of snow coming down the mountain. What do you do? You muted.
So we just like this is all of us acting together now?
I mean, you're still the people in the scene, but we can all.
Got it. So
I'm going to explain that thing first, I think, because how this works is like mechanically, there is one person who handles the threat. So that person is like the one who's taking charge of the situation, doing something to avoid the threat. Fictionally, you can do it however you want. Mechanically, it's building a dice pool. So we're just deciding who's doing what we're doing quickly, and then also like who's taking charge of the threat. And I'm explaining the building of dice pools after we've done that.
I think it's an avalanche, and I'm a geologist, I think. Does that make sense for everybody? Is that?
Yeah, sure. So basically, for handling like any character doing anything to handle a crisis gets 1 dice from just being their person, being a person there, a capable person. You can also use an asset for 1 story point. You can use your touchstone if you want to add 1 dice. And you can also get help from someone. 1 person can help for free, the first one. And then any other people after that is also using a story point. So pretty much like the first thing I'm going to ask then is, are you using an asset for this?
Yes, I am.
Which asset?
I'm going to use our emergency shelter for this.
Cool. So you take 1 story point, cost 1 story point for that. Is somebody helping you?
Yeah, Sunil's right there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That also means you're implicated if you fail.
That's cool. All right.
So basically, the threat it has 3 black dice from as a default in this act. You now have 3 dice, pretty much like we roll them against each other and see who's the most, and the one who has the most is like if the threat wins, then it will have possibly consequences, and if you win, you have a possibility to remove dice from the threat. So it has 3 dice, and for every 5 you have on your, if you win, if it's more white than black, then you see how many you get. Like if you have 11 in combined for white dice, you have you'll get 2 successes. For every 5 you get 1 success, and it doesn't subtract the black dice. If the white dice win or the black dice win, then you count the whole pool. So the easiest way to do this is just like build a pool and roll the dice, and then you'll understand when I do the math when we have it. But is there anything else you want to do? You can also use your ability for one story point. The person supporting can also do that if they want.
Yeah, I'm gonna use I'm definitely using my scientist ability here. It's not a technical problem, so I don't think Sunil can really help with their ability, right?
Probably not.
I think that's fine. Yeah.
So in addition to the 2 story points you have, if you look at the plan here, that the white things here, they're also story points that everyone can use. So that's the last thing, I think. Okay, so we have 3 white dice and 2 black dice now, because your ability takes 1 black dice away, right?
Yes, yeah.
Is that all?
Let me spend 1 plan die so that we've got that 2 to 1.
So for me supporting, I'm spending 1 story point?
No. If the first person who is helping doesn't spend it.
Doesn't spend it, right? But I'm just open to the consequences.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, you use an ability, use an asset, and you're reducing it by 1. And there's 1 help, so there's 4 to. Yes, 4 to 2 then, right? Yes. Am I counting correctly then?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, from the way you explained it, yeah.
Okay, so let's see. That's gonna be the white dice then, and then for the black dice. Yeah, that was a great success. What also happens when you roll a 6 is that you can choose to spend 3 story points to move the 6 into the event pool. As you remember, the scene is over. The act is over when we have 12 dice in the event pool. We will roll those dice in the end of the act, and that will determine how the act ends. If it ends bad, it's bad for us. So generally, it would be a good idea to do that, and also your success is pretty immense, so you'll still have a good result.
So can we mix and match where those story points to move the die over comes from, or do they all have to come from one of us, or all come from the plan, or what?
The person who uses the points can take the points from whenever they want, wherever they want. So if you want to take it from the plan, you can.
Okay, so I'm going to spend 1 of my story points and 2 from the plan, so that I have 1, which leaves me with 1 story point remaining.
Oh, this is supposed to be white, though. Can I change the color? Oh. Okay, let's see.
To move that 6 over.
Yeah, I'm just gonna delete this real quick and then white dice. Why did it? What? Why didn't it want to go? Here, okay, good. I got the white dice there now. Good. How does it look? What do you do?
Yeah, so like there's that explosion, and I like we hear a boom, and then nothing for a second, and then like the screws that you have down there do that thing where they just start to like rattle a little bit, right, on the table, and then it's clear that there's something happening, and like I just cock my head with like a quizzical look, and I squat down, and I kind of I like press my fingertips against the floor, and I close my eyes for a couple of seconds, and I'm like, no, that's not good. That's not good. And I like pop back up onto my feet, and I say, there's some serious seismic activity. This is bad. Get your drone out there. I don't care about its stupid jacket. Get it up there. We need to know what's going on now.
Yeah, and I think Sunil like immediately goes into emergency mode, and so we see him like click a thing, throw it up in the air, and like it's totally like kind of action. He throws it up in the air, not running, and then just hits the switch, and it like on its way down, it like floats up and heads down the hallway and toward a little like escape hatch we have for it.
And it pops up on out and rises up, and then we just see the that like plume of like, there's like, if you've ever seen those slow motion videos of like the ice sheet cracking off and falling into the ocean that they have, it's like that, only like our little base is down below it. But it's like, it's gonna, it's gonna go like a big hunk of the ice sheet is gonna shear off and then hit and crumble and then like fall like that and collapse down onto our thing here. And I say, no, that's not good. Okay. And I say, mimic, locate, sorry, names. I'm not good with names. Mimic, locate Dr. Jones and Dr. Jansen and tell them to come into the habitat area immediately. And I turn to you and I say, it's a geodesic dome. It's structurally the strongest point in the entire base. We're probably going to lose everything else. Shit, the dogs. We got to get the dogs in here. Go get them now. And I run to the to our storage locker that's like off the side, and I like haul in the big like kind of plastic bin that would normally have that we'd normally put on the dog sled to take out with us, and I kind of haul it out and I pop it, and I kind of look around the room and I start assembling so there's like a dome tent, and I start like assembling it inside the habitat here. And because what's going to happen is the avalanche is going to come down, it's going to hit, boom, it's going to collapse most of the base. But because we've got this double dome, we'll have the extra structural integrity required for it to crash down on top of us. But we'll all be huddled inside of it with the dogs and survive the destruction of the rest of the base.
Cool.
And I think the way Sunil's helping is you'll see like when you're giving the instructions like, hey, go get the dogs or whatever, Sunil's got like some equipment already to like automatically open some doors. And, I think in some of the earlier establishing shots, like if we watch the full movie length thing, like there was kind of like this, like making fun of him for automating some stuff just so he was lazy and didn't have to like go feed them or, like all that kind of crap. But now he's like hitting the buttons, he's whistling for the dogs and they're like running over and, all of that.
Cool. Yeah, so what I didn't say is that because we took the 6 away, it's 2 success, so there's still 1 dice on the threat left. But that fits well, actually, because there's not like we're not completely finished with the scene necessarily. But I think like you hear Mimic saying, like calling, I think over like you hear over the speaker like, Mimic calling Emily Jones and Bjørn Jansen and Emily Jones to the living quarters straight away. And I mean, we're not in a big base, so I think it's pretty much like opening the door to the sleeping area or something like that. What's going on?
There's an avalanche. It's coming at us now. We need to get in here. Help me put this together. I think it's got the structural integrity to survive. There's a hole. There's half the cliff is coming down on us. We've only got a few minutes.
Mm-hmm. So you're still handling the threat. So are we building a pool again?
Oh, I guess we need to. Yeah, if we still have dice left, then yeah.
Yeah. It is. It was 11 after we took away the 6, and that's 2 successes.
Mm-hmm.
So you have one automatically. Are you using your ability?
It cost me a story point to do that, right?
Yes.
Yes, yeah, I'll do that.
Is somebody helping? I think like Emily is helping actually. She's like completely in panic and like, but she has been in this drill a million times, and I think like she's the one who's actually done the drill most recently because she hasn't been on a trip like this before.
Yeah.
So she's just like doing the tent assembling like real quick, like army people do. Is there anyone else helping? Where's Björn showing up from?
I think Björn was with the Huskies, and we see him running down the corridor with the automatic doors opening, like to his total bafflement because he still is not, into this technical stuff. But he ushers the Huskies in.
You could, like, if you want to help us mechanically, spending a story point to help wrangle the dogs would add a die to our pool, I think, right?
Yeah.
Let's do this then.
Cool. Yeah. Are we using an asset?
I don't think so.
No.
So I mean, I guess we can use the I don't have any story points left to spend. Oh, but we can spend out of the plan, right?
We can.
Can we spend points like Mimic is an asset?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, so I think Mimic helping coordinate everything and get everybody to where they're at, and kind of like cycling the cameras so we can see what's going on and stuff like that. I think that's let's spend a point out of the plan for Mimic to help. And Mimic's not going to be
using the plan points is you have to tie it into one of the assets. Is that right? And was I helping with this? I mean, is the idea here like we're assembling the thing and surviving the crash, right? Like, does it help me to help in there? I don't mind with the consequences.
Yeah, totally. I mean, if so, like anybody after the first person that helps basically has to agree to spend one of their story points to help. So if you want to kick in a story point to help, we'll take your help.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
Why don't I do that? And just a quick question with the story points in the beginning, like when I opened the sheet, it said story points and it had like 1, right?
Yeah.
You started with 2? Is that the idea?
Yes.
And then I got 2 for revealing the secret later, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. We both kind of like when the threat came, we both had 4 because we both revealed that we were annoyed by each other. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well played, good story gamers.
Yeah.
And then so I'll spend 1 here and like, I mean, this equipment is stuff I'm familiar with, right? So like assembling maybe there's even a part where you're assembling it and it's like, no, wait, the structure will be stronger if, and I'm like reconfiguring something.
Fantastic.
Yeah, okay, so we have 4 white dice then, or
we start with 1 for free.
Yeah, 1. And then 1 for the asset, and we're 3 helping, so 5. And
if everybody's helping, then it's 5. Yeah.
Well, that's good odds at least. And you use your ability as well.
I use my ability to subtract a threat die.
Yeah, so 2d6 here, and there's no. Then I have to change the color of my die. Oh, that's another 6. Cool. So we should spend some the plan things then, right?
Yeah.
3. And we're still succeeding. So I think how this looks like is probably like actually just what we explained. Like we hear like all this crashing and probably like the dog howling a lot of the being afraid. And well, they howl a lot anyway. I know huskies actually, like it's a bit funny, but my sister's boyfriend's father is named Bjorn and has a husky farm. So yeah, but yeah, they howl a lot, and in this small tent. So, but in a weird way, it's also a little calming because it makes the thunder from the crashing down around us a little less strong, and like, but then suddenly it's like more quiet, and the dogs calm down a little bit, and I think you just see like this. There's some snow coming in through like a crack to where the opening is, and I think that's our scene. Cool. So that's our first, hopefully like a big mechanic hump over with. This is pretty much the base mechanic of the game in most ways.
So just so I understand a little bit of what, because like I'm seeing the event pool and I've noticed. So like what did we actually do with the mechanically like?
Mm-hmm. The threat in the first act has 3 threat dice. And to tackle when you tackle a conflict, you have to have 3 successes to remove all the 3 threat dice.
And a success is
it's when there is 5. It's when like 5 or more intervals, like with the white dice. So at the first dice, we took away the 6, and that became an 11 because we moved the 6 into the event pool. And that's 2 successes because 5 and 5 is 10. The next interval is 15. So we had 1 dice left. So we built another pool, and now we rolled a 19. We took away the 6, which is still 13, which is like 2 successes. So it was more than enough to remove the last threat dice.
Okay. I will pretend like I understand that. It's okay.
Yeah, I don't.
I'll take care of it then. Hopefully, yeah, it's a little finicky. But yeah, the next scene is it's a gym scene. Goes to the left. So ballet. Where do you wanna? So it's pretty much you say who is in the scene, and then we say who is playing Mimic. And who is establishing the threat based on that. But you understood how that worked, right? With establishing the threat and stuff? Because that's...
Yeah, so it's going to be Horst who decides when the threat comes in, right? Is that... Because he's to my right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, so... I think I want this scene to be this is gonna be all 4 of us. Can we have all 4 of us? Is that we can do that, right? Yeah, I think this is all 4 of us. Like we are. This is the like setting out across the ice. To get like you can kind of see the, you know, the like the mostly wrecked base with that like giant slab of ice, and kind of this is the thing where like we're geared up, we've got our goggles and our masks and our parkas, and you know the sled team is out there with their, you know, winter gear on and all that kind of stuff and everything. We've got the sled. The drone is up in the air, and the 4 of us are walking away across the ice as the dome slowly collapses, and that huge slab of ice just inexorably goes down to flatten it. Now we've all got headsets on, so we can talk to each other. And Mimic wasn't hurt by that crashing, the base getting flattened, because it's like, you know, 200 yards down under the ice because the semiconductors, that's how we keep it cool, is we just buried it under the ice. So rather than have a room full of HVAC like you would if you were anywhere else, we're just letting Antarctica cool our AI supercomputer that kind of runs the base and does all our experiments and stuff. So we can still talk to it. It's still down there, and we can ask it for advice and stuff. So that's kind of how that goes along with us. But we're like, we've got our snowshoes or whatever. Or our you know what I want to know? Like how is everybody geared out? Because like I definitely have skis. Like I'm definitely on cross country skis. But like just to, like I've got a because it's a movie, like I don't have like a big bulky parka that I would actually have, but it's like a much more form-fitting, like a winter jacket. And I've got, like insulated gloves and stuff like this, and goggles and a little like a little mask and a little and a hood with like a fur ring around the around the outside. But I've got skis. I'm on skis and I've got a backpack and I'm going alongside the sled. So can we take a second just have everybody kind of say like what they look like and how they're kitted out?
Sure. I think Emily is sitting on one of those sled carts. Does not know how to ski, at least not enough to be standing behind dogs with skis, because that's not a joke. And I think she has like she's wearing like the warmest clothes, not form-fitting at all. They're like bags of hot fabric over her body, and like I think it's like one of these hats with like ears down, and you can barely see her face out from the clothes. And Björn?
Yeah, Björn definitely has. Let's see. It definitely has this Russian hats with the ear flaps that you can put down. And I think he just has like an old, really thick, like olive green parka, and he walks or skids on snowshoes behind the. How does it work, Mikael? With when you're behind the sled, do you just stand on the sled and give orders to the dogs?
You can, yeah. Yeah, if you're steering the thing, you're probably standing on the sled. Yeah.
Okay, so that's what he does. A bit old-fashioned, and the whole outfit is a bit out of date, I guess.
I think with Sunil, yeah, let's go for it. Maybe he's also with skis, back there with Dr. Alvarez, and I think with his clothes, like again, it's also pretty form-fitting. There's a lot of shots where he's not wearing like a bunch of stuff on his face or whatever, which like maybe that wouldn't really happen out there. You get like frostbite real quick. But there's a couple of shots of like you kind of like actually like he's not even wearing glasses, right? Like his face is just kind of open, but just to look hot.
Yeah, like maybe you've got like whatever, like the grease on your nose and a little bit of like anti-glare stuff on your cheeks under your eyes or something like that.
Totally. Right. Like this, it almost looks like some vacation shots, here and there. But and there's one or two moments, like as we're seeing them kind of cross the landscape a little bit. We see that Space Bee is still okay. That probably in the last shot, like Space Bee was out there, right? Like taking a shot of the avalanche coming down, and you know, there was probably some of that, like, you know, I don't know how long she'll last out there, you know, as we were like trying to, you know, like deal with all the cold and all that kind of stuff. And so, but I think at this point, like, it looks like she's got the little jacket on, and there's probably a couple of scenes where he's almost like not even wearing, like, he takes off the gloves, you know, temporarily to kind of like control Space Bee and kind of scout out ahead of us a little bit, right?
Yeah, and so we're just kind of like I think there's that, like, I think this scene, and we kind of see all of us there, and then there's that moment where we pause, and like, because we hear like a and like with a, and then there's like a kaboom that we all kind of feel a little bit of a shake, and like, you know, like snow sluices up as the dome just collapses for good. And I turn to Dr. Jansen, and I say, there's only one direction we can go now. Is this? I can't help but think of some of the things that you've been through in your career. What is it? How do you go forward when there's no way back?
Well, if you get into my age, then the horizon gets closer and closer. The way forward is the way to death. Obviously, if you are young and hot like you are, and he's completely like sexist and everything.
Yes, yeah.
He says, then I would be worried.
And I I grin and like shake my head, and I say, Dr. Jansen, I don't know. I don't know. I am strangely reassured by that. Let's hope that we can keep the horizon as far away as possible.
What I will miss, though, is your orchids. I wandered among them, you know, when you haven't seen me, and I smelled them, and I was thinking about the nature that we're missing here. And I just want to tell you, I share your pain for leaving them behind.
And I look sheepish, and I like look left, and like Sunil has his head down, like controlling the drone, and Dr. You know, Emily is like just huddled up trying to keep warm. And I kind of like do that thing where, like, as I'm skiing, and so like I'm skiing along on the sled, right? And I kind of like slide one ski like on top of the runner, and like just lift my other foot up, so, and like grab it by one hand. So now I'm like on the sled skating along and not skiing, and I kind of like hook my like I'm wearing this big backpack, right? And I kind of hook it off of one shoulder, and I sort of flip it around, and I just like pull the zipper like half a turn, and you can see that there's like a clear plastic like an acrylic container in there, and you could see just like a couple of petals of one of the orchids that I actually like stowed and brought with me. And I like playfully bring a finger up to my lips, like quiet, and I like pull the backpack back on, and like hop off the sled and start and go back to skating along. And this is where I'm gonna reveal that you help keep me sane, because like all your sexism, all this kind of stuff and everything, it's at least human and playful, and you're the only one here who has any understanding of why my orchids are objectively important. So I'm
gonna reveal that the orchids and Dr. Alvarez kept me sane.
Awesome.
Oh,
So weird that like Jim picked the person that hated his character and also the one that liked his character.
That's so awesome. Cool. Yeah. And so so that moment where I show them to you, and it's very clear that like and I think that's also where we like from off the bat establish like it's not in any way romantic, but it's like mutual respect. We understand what the other one appreciates and stuff like that. And so I go back to skiing along.
I just want to mention that during the scene, the sky was darkening.
Sure. That's great.
I also want to mention that that one moment where you turned and you said something like, "And you're hot," like being young and hot like you. I think we saw Sunil in the background going like, "Thanks." Like, that compliment.
There we go. Horizons far away. And I like sort of like zip up a couple of steps to the front of the sled. So I'm skiing alongside the front of the sled. And I just say to Emily, "How are you holding out there?"
yeah, and I think you just see like her face being like just getting this frown, and she's just like, "Fucking Sunil, always taking the damn compliments. Can't even have sexist remarks for yourself. What?"
And I say, in terms of things I'm willing to share, that's actually one of them. You'll come to appreciate it someday.
Don't come here with this like, I'm old and experienced bullshit. I'm never gonna like that.
I am old and experienced, dear.
Yeah, and I think like Emily like smiles towards you and says like, "Yeah, one day I'm gonna learn to appreciate it, right?"
You'll be able to when you get back. Just think of you'll probably get a book tour or something out of this. You can make one of your games about it.
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna make a game about being old and experienced.
Well, but what about this? I mean, that was, you know, I haven't played a lot of those, but my understanding is that's the kind of experience that you might that might be in one of your games.
Yeah, and I think like Emily like takes down her like the thing that's been covering her face. It's like a balaclava or something, and she like looks up at you and says like, you really make something positive out of anything. It's like our I mean that was just like our life ticket out of here, and you're still making. And she like shakes her head and like smiles and looks like towards the other way a little bit, I think. And I think I'm gonna hear that Dr. Bullet keeps my character sane, being insanely positive about everything. Cool.
I'm just going to mention that visibility is now getting worse and worse. And when you speak in, I mean, we are talking about these headsets anyways, I guess. But
Yeah.
if you were to communicate, you would have to shout.
Yeah, I think
I think at this point it's reinforced by Sunil bringing down the space beat because like the wind's starting to be too much, and you know, maybe even like before that, you know, in the little camera in the space beat as he's like using it to scout out, you know, we had a little bit of maybe obstruction, like some low rolling snow hill things, but like, you know, he gets like a glimpse of some of the oncoming storm or something.
And I think this may also be like kind of as we're starting to realize that, like, no kidding, the wind is starting to whip up and snow is starting to come. Like the dogs are maybe starting to slow down, and like starting to like howl and bark and stuff like this. Normally, when they're like, the whole point of their existence is to like, yeah, we're pulling the sled. This is sweet, like, you know. So normally when they're just mushing, like they're cool. Like they may bark a little, but now they're like starting to get really nervous. So Dr. Jansen, it's starting to look pretty bad.
The dogs don't like it either.
Should we? What do we do? I mean, we have to get there. We can't just button up.
Well, we don't have the dome anymore.
Oh, actually, sorry. So, mechanical question. When we use an asset, does that mean that doesn't mean it's gone, right? It means it just, whenever we use it, we have to spend a story point, right?
Yeah, not mechanically, it's not gone now.
Okay, all right, cool, great.
But narratively, like, did it get crushed under that ice?
Well, but like we've got other stuff we can use. Like maybe we don't have our big dome tent anymore. We've got our little individual ones we can crawl into or something. Yeah. So,
what do you guys think about like the drone revealing that there's some kind of structure in the distance?
I think that's great. Yeah, you can
That's
totally.
awesome.
Yeah, you can totally. Yeah, go. I mean, go ahead and tell us.
Yeah, so maybe like, Sunil turns, like you guys are having this conversation about like, the dogs, and then maybe we should put up like, our domes, and Sunil comes over, I think just right next to you, like there's almost like that little like screen shock, right? Where it's just suddenly you see some hand on your shoulder or something. It's like, whoa, what is that? And he's like, look what I found. And, he's showing kind of like his little display, control display. And, I'm not exactly sure what it is, but it looks like there's, maybe it's just some rocks, but it looks like there's some structure over there in the distance, right? And, it's like some kind of like shitty black and white kind of fuzzy image. But it definitely looks maybe man-made or something, like some cement thing.
Well, that's clearly where we need to go, but it's, and I kind of look up at the, the swirling, but that's the heart of that storm, which is.
Yeah, that's when I would like to reveal the threat. So maybe like there's a wind gust or something blowing the drone out of your hands or something. Like we're really hit by the wind now, and the storm is worsening to the point where we need to react.
All right. So yeah, so it's time to tackle a threat, I think, right?
Yeah. I think if nobody else wants it, I think I'm gonna tackle it. Emily's gonna. Like I think Emily's like looks over to Belletla, who's like looking at the tents, and she's like, "No, we can't set them up here. It's still tents, and there's gonna be a storm." And I think, and she like points over at. I saw some. I don't know. I'm not sure if it was like a mountain, but at least like a something to crawl up behind over there. I think it was that direction.
Yeah. I mean, Sunil showed us a structure. Can you get us there?
I think that's too far, but we have to just as fast as possible.
So could it be that like this first attempt to deal with the threat, mechanically, is trying to get to that structure, but like if we only like partially succeed, then is it like, okay, well, we'll have to go here, like whatever.
Sure, we can do that.
So is it possible, like, again, mechanically, because I'm not really following it, but like, is it possible that we may like overcome the obstacle completely now if we rolled really well or something, right? Like a bunch of sixes or some shit.
Not really, but what we could do it because we're getting a little short on time, so we could just well, not short on time, but we said it was going to be 2.5 hours, and we are at 2.5 hours. So if we have another half, would anyone mind another half hour?
I'm okay.
So I think we could do it like that.
All set, yeah.
Let's say we do it like that, and we have time to resolve the other things without stressing with the time. If we manage it at least. So let's maybe make the threat a little bigger then. Let's make it like a 5-die threat or something like that. So that because we have some story points, so we should be very capable of dealing with this if it's too low. Cool. So yeah, I'm having one for myself. I'm gonna use I think I'm gonna use the Huskies actually. Like I think like Emily takes like start going down like on our knees to get through the storm, and I think like holding around the Huskies and letting the Huskies lead the way and hoping they will lead to where we're supposed to go, because I mean we know the direction more or less, but it's the compasses doesn't work here because the magnetic fields of the pole and of course scienced and it was far away, so we're just hoping that this would work. So I'm using a story point for that. Is anybody helping?
Oh yeah, Dr. Jansen's definitely helping. I think he jumps. I don't know how he would communicate with the dogs. Like I think it's an action movie, so he jumps over the sled between the Huskies, puts his arm on the right and on the left of the furthest dogs, like the first 2 dogs, and I think he sings them a tune in their ears. I'm not. He has done that before to sing them in their sleep, or sing them when they would race, and you hear the dog's ears like popping up and then giving this extra effort.
That's awesome, by the way. Like that's totally like one of the earlier scenes in the movie, right? It's like him with the dogs doing all that.
Is anybody else helping?
Yeah, no, I'll definitely. I think Sunil is just it's that whole group like help push everything along kind of thing. So like maybe one thing will fall down and it's like grabbing that and like just some of that physical struggle.
Sorry, go ahead.
And I use a story point for that, right?
Yeah.
If we want to reveal somebody's secret, that triggers a flashback and then something happens? Is that how that works?
Yes.
So can I do that?
Yes, you can.
So I am going to reveal, we're going to see a flashback to Dr. Jansen handling these dogs. Where did he learn to handle dogs like that? Well, back when he was working on that secret chemical weapons program was where he learned to handle dogs. So can we do our little flashback to that?
Oh man, they could get dark. I don't know. I know, Jim, you're an animal lover, so.
Well, I mean, it could be like it doesn't mean that you were doing the testing on the dogs. It could have meant that there were guard dogs at the facility, and you went and and like when you were just to get some relief, you went to pet the dogs or something like that, or one of these dogs was with you there and you brought it along, or whatever. It doesn't have to be testing on the dogs, but
yeah, that's true.
But I want to trigger your flashback here, just so that we get a chance to see one and see what it looks like.
And just so we know, and so Horst knows, do we have any line or veil around like violence against animals type thing?
I would rather not enact any. You know what? No, it's okay. We put the like the dogs are there. They should be like I'm okay with them being under threat and stuff like that. So that's, yeah. I mean, what I would prefer is that that we not as PCs enact any violence against those dogs, that we are not abused. Like my line is that we are not abusive to the dogs.
Right.
But the potential for the dogs to get hurt or even killed is a huge motivator for me as a character. So, and a player. So I'm totally fine with them being under threat and possibly something happening to them. But just that we are not abusive towards them as characters ourselves.
Yeah. So I think it is a shot of Dr. Janssen, and he leaves a compound, like a concrete building, slams the metal door, throws down the gas mask that he wears, and like completely frustrated and stressed out, walks over to the what's it called? It's a word with K, where you keep dogs.
Kennel.
What do you? A kennel, yes. And it is like Jim said, it's the kennel of the watchdogs, and he buries his face into the fur of one of the dogs, and he whispers into its ears and says, "I need to stop this shit. I can't go on." And that's the scene.
Yeah, and I think actually, like, I'm also gonna invoke what I left behind here, as I think, like, you see, like, it's not like a lot of time in the movie probably, but like, but it might have been like what, at least like an hour or so in like real time, and you see Emily like struggling against the wind and the cold, and you see her like almost like dipping out for a little bit, and I think you see like her like leaving the hospital for the last time, and I think you see like all her like all like, it looks like all the people are turning, looking at her walking out, and she is like smiling, and you can see her like I think she like puts up like sits down on a bench outside the hospital and like puts up this like paper where she's holding like this application for a position as doctor on like the polar expedition. And I think like she opens her eyes again, and like I think like looks at the dog, who almost like looks down at her, like being almost unconscious, and I think she like continues. Yeah, and you get 2 story points for the secret reveal there, Jim.
Oh, I get those, not Horst? Oh, okay, great.
Yes, and we have 5 white dice and 5 black die. Not sure how this is going to work mechanically with the black die, actually.
Throw an extra white die in, because I'm gonna help.
Okay.
Spend my points.
It's doing all the math now. What?
Oh, so if we reveal, so I could get another 2 story points by revealing a secret for somebody else here.
Yeah. I'm not sure if this math is correct. It's horrible.
It's an appropriate time, but I kind of feel like we just had this really cool, I don't know story-wise if it's like, it just narratively it makes sense. I'm just not sure if, let's just see what happens. Let's just go with this roll.
Well, actually how this works out, I'm not sure, because my immediate hacking of the game might have backfired horribly here. I think I'm gonna actually have to retcon that we're not gonna have 5 dice, because it's going to completely ruin the game, I think, here. Because if it's 0, it means that we get another threat in play, and that would make it completely impossible to make it actually.
I mean, I have a suggestion. If I would to reveal my death or something, would that give us points and help us go further?
Yeah, actually it does, because it makes the threat go away.
And I also have like my fear. Can I reveal that as well?
You don't have to. No, you can't reveal your own fear. You can only reveal the fear of the other person.
Okay.
I mean, that's what I was about to reveal, is your fear. Like, I didn't know if that made sense here.
Like a glove, I would say.
So yeah, why don't we do that? So let's reveal the fear, of Bjorn, which is of freezing to death.
Oh yeah. How does that shot look like? That when we reveal that in the movie.
I think it's still in Norway. It is still after he left the facility, the chemical facility, after that scene with the dog. He would just walk out. He would take the dogs and walk out, and we see a montage of him walking over this ice field and getting weaker and weaker, and trying to get the warmth from the dog he took, and then he falls asleep, which is the worst thing, I think, when you're freezing to death, and then he wakes up with this panicked face, looking around, and then we don't know how it went on, but that reveals his fear of freezing. And so my death card is fixing a mistake, and the mistake was to go to the further structure or something that we cannot reach through the storm. So, but how would he fix, like the death is obvious. He's left behind. We see the shot of him lying in the snow. I think everyone grabs the sleds. That's what he's saying. Everyone grab the sled. I'm leading you to the place over the storm, and then he's in between the dogs, like directing them to that direction. But obviously, being in between the dogs on a sled that is shaking from the wind and over the landscape, he loses his grip without anyone seeing it, and he falls into the snow.
Oh,
rip.
Oh well, sad story. Well, rest in peace, Bjorn. The next, what happens now is we're going into Act 2. When we go into Act 2, we roll all the dice in the event pool to see how this works. It works very well fictionally, at least, because it's going to happen. Probably it's a good possibility that we're going to get out of this in a not very good shape. So that works out. So it's we also saw this was 1 black 6 in the last roll. So I moved it over there, and we then have 5 black dice and 2 white dice. So let's see, I'm just going to roll those. And based on that, this result we get out of that, we'll get like a fallout. Oh yeah, that didn't go very well. Okay, so let's see, I'm just going to find this table here somewhere.
That was terrible. You rolled snake eyes on our white dice.
Yep.
Oh man.
Well, There's definitely some early story game tech in this. It's like before the story gamers decided we don't need a million dice. Where is that table?
Yeah, it's definitely looking at Fiasco. It's sort of a Fiasco drift.
Yeah, that's actually makes sense. Let's see here in just a second. Where the goddamn is this table?
I mean, on your sheet, oh, that's on resolving threats. Sorry, that's a different thing than here, right?
Yeah, let's see, blah, blah, blah. Final threat. Here it is, page 97. Here it is. So if the total is black and it's minus 16, it's perfect chaos. Your decisions have ruined everything. Lose all but one of your assets at random. All characters take 2 levels of harm. Add an additional complication at random. Okay, so we can roll some d4s here, I guess. Actually, I'm just gonna say that everything except everything except the huskies is there. We don't need the randomness really. Just to simplify things, we all get 2 harm, except Bjorn, who's dead. So, and that's it. So how does this look in the fiction? I think probably, I mean, this makes quite a lot of sense. I think we just like see our like what's left of our group. Like you see like almost all the sleds, and the things on the sleds are gone. I think like you see probably like there's just like a small montage where we actually like drop off the things from the sled to be able to like move through the storm. And I think like it's just like this, you know, this like classic scene when we've gone through the storm thing where you see like this, we're on this like big flat area with this building in front of us, and I think it's almost like it's clearing up and very like quickly, and there's like this almost like, I think it's in the like Antarctic summer, so it's like the sun is in the middle of the sky, and it's super bright because of the snow. And I think we just like look up at the thing, and I think like you just see like the dogs are lying around us. Yeah, I think that's how it looks pretty much. So for this act, we'll have 1 round of scenes each. I think actually we're just gonna make it a little. Yeah, that's how it's supposed to go with 1 scene each. We can try to do that. There's going to be a threat. The threat is going to be at 5, and then we have the final scene where we find out if we save the world or not.
So I mean, Tomer and I have had scenes. Do we want to just have Mikhail just have you and Horst do scenes and then cut to the chase?
Yeah, let's do it like that. Cool. Do you want to have the scene first, Bjorn? For the dramatology, I think this is the good place for the Bjorn flashback scene. It's without conflict, of course.
Yeah. So I would like to have like another scene with maybe Björn and Sunil back in the camp, and so what would you normally do, Sunil?
I think like outside of
Fixing.
outside of doing the fixie stuff, Sunil's really into so Sunil's one of the Sunil's things is that he's really into the like jazz music, right? So like, although we hear like there probably in the beginning of the movie we see you playing, you know, some pretty, maybe it's like some pretty like experimental stuff, and we're like, oh my god, like if you had to live in a close quarter with this guy, you'd be really annoyed, you know. But I think, you know, we see Sunil's like into it, right?
Yeah, so let me think. Yeah, I think it's just a quick scene because it's not that much time, but so
Maybe
maybe we are,
Sunil's sketching or something. Like maybe he's like sketching around, like doodling basically while you're doing this in the background, right? It looks like he's doing some engineering work because he's surrounded by all this equipment, and all we see is that he's like scribbling on paper, but it's just like doodles, right?
yeah, and I think Björn is walking past you, just throwing like a glance on the doodle, and he's somehow frustrated by something, and we see like this glance of utter envy, maybe, of your, you know, you're serene, just doodling, you're into yourself, you're also hot looking, and then there's this old guy walking past, and that's actually it. Like it's just a glance and a sigh and some kind of envy of your youth, your serenity, like being completely into yourself, or within yourself. And Björn gets in his room and just throws the door shut, and that's it. And can I read? I don't know if it mechanically makes. Toma, do you want to say something?
I did. There's one thing that I wanted to add to it, which is I want to reveal that that Bjorn actually keeps my character sane. I think, you know, like maybe before you looked at the doodle, like maybe you're playing your sax, right? And that's where I'm doodling. And then when you're done, you're like walking around and seeing that image, and maybe you're kind of in a frustrated place. But I think later I actually post that picture up on your wall, and it's to you, and the name of it is actually like whatever, you know, whatever standard you were playing or something like that. Like basically it was like my picture of what I was hearing, right?
Yeah, interpreting the sounds. Awesome.
Right.
Yeah, I wanted to reveal that like you drive me crazy. Your character, obviously.
Yeah.
Awesome. Good. I think so. For my first and last spotlight scene, I think we are like going into like the building. I think actually like getting up first. Like we're getting up, and I think I see Emily's the first who wakes up, and I think she like looks around. She finds. I think she finds Sunil first. I think he has like this like signal yellow jacket or something like that. Makes it easy to see. And I think like she like goes over, checks his vitals, and like when you start to wake up, I think like immediately she goes to try to find Ballet, and I don't think she finds Ballet for like a little bit, but then I think I find you like leaned up against the building actually, like you were already, like you were conscious for longer than us, and I think like Emily like goes over to you and like tries to like wake you up.
He's trying to wake up Ballet, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like kind of moaning a little in my sleep, and like You know, my eyes shoot open and like I look panicky for a second. What's going on?
We're here.
All right. We need to know what we're getting into.
I mean, is it that important?
Yeah, we don't want to just go walking in there and get shot.
I think like Emily like looks at you for like a second and then I mean, yeah, getting shot, we can't disarm the bombs if we get shot, that's true.
I mean, we're not, yeah, we need to know, and we need to know, if there's security. We don't want to alert anyone that we're here. This is a time for at least a little bit of caution, I think. We need that stupid drone.
I think like Emily looks over at towards where Snil is like probably getting up, maybe even looking for your drone. Or do you have it?
I think I have it. I think it's like in my, you know, my vest pocket, and I'm probably yelling over too. And I probably say something like, "I heard that. She's not stupid."
Yes, and I'm sure she heard it too. So, she's got a. Well, then I guess she needs to prove me wrong, doesn't she?
And yeah, I think we see a close up of Sunil, you know, with the little drone in his hand, and he's like, "Yes, you do, my friend. Yes, you do."
Yeah, and I think like you see probably like Emily's eyes like rolling all the way back in her head, and I think like I think she turns to Billette and like, I can't believe that his wife isn't jealous of that thing.
And I snicker, and I say, maybe it's an open relationship.
And I think like Emily just like shakes her head and then and says, you know, I don't even want to, and just like walks over towards like I think actually walks towards Sunil and says, "Well, are you going to fly it in or what?"
You know, and I think he's like, "Look, yes, but I need you guys to know, you know, things are looking a little bleak." And he's got his little like console to control it, and we can see the battery level is very, very low, you know. So he's like, "I mean, we can do this thing, but it could be her last run. I don't know."
She still needs to prove me wrong.
And I think you know, maybe he throws Space Bee up in the air, you know, triggers the thing, and it's like right after you said that, and we see, you know, the little Space Bees kind of like floating in front of your head, but it also slowly turns around, and we can see like the little orchid symbol,
Yeah,
you know, on the back, right?
Am I introducing the threat this time, Mikhail?
Yes, you are.
And that is that is where Space Bee, you know, kind of flies up over the, so we're kind of like outside the building here, right?
Yes.
And Space Bee comes up and kind of whatever, like once it gets above a certain height, it's like very clearly you can kind of tell, you know, there might even be like on your little heads up display, the you know, the like altimeter that's like clocking up as it goes, and it hits like 50 meters, and then we see half a dozen little black dots sort of like detach themselves from the building and kind of like spread out into the air, and we hear little and there's like a little kind of like a whine of little turbines as the drones that are protecting this place, push themselves up into the air and start to spread out and move towards us.
Yeah, I think actually I'm gonna. I think I just like look at you first, Ballet, and then Sunil, and just like get in there right now. And I think just Emily starts like running in the other direction, like trying to get the attention of the drones. And I'm playing my death card.
We need to get under cover. There we go.
There's probably, and maybe even Sunil says something like, I think Space Bee's safe. I don't think they can recognize something that small, but like they're probably trained on us, right?
Come on, you're the engineer. You'd be able to give us like model number, how they're kitted out, what their specs are. Like this is where you can tell the audience exactly what they're going to do to us.
Right. And I think they're probably like military grade. They're some military model, right? I'm like, oh, those are, X5 dash whatever Super Hawks.
Yeah,
whatever, yeah. Oh, Hornet sounds great. I love the fact that it's going to be like some kind of killer bee type thing, right? Like the dangerous side. Mm-hmm. Wasps or something.
Yes.
So yeah, they're heading over, and I'm like, they're trained on us. They're trained for people. We're going to need to take cover, and maybe it's that, giving you that information is what's your death card, Mikhail?
It's you will die to prove you care.
So yeah, maybe are you setting yourself up as like the bait?
Yes. And I think like you just hear Emily like get those bombs. We can't, and I think like you hear like probably like the zooming of the drones and like the see them like fly like directly after Emily. And
I was going to say, like, probably like I gave us some hint as to like what would kind of confuse their visual sensors. So you and I are doing it, like Ballet, but you've probably like taken off your jacket or whatever it is and have just kind of like run up there to make a big scene, right? So they're all headed toward you.
It would be so perfect if like you and I have to like right next to each other, run hand in hand with like Space Bee hovering right over us to like confuse their sensors or something like that.
Oh yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, cool. And I think like the last we see is like you getting into the building while you hear like shooting from the drones outside.
I think even like just as we get to the building, I'm like, if I can spend Space Bee fast enough, maybe she can save, Emily. And like, I'm starting to send it out, but then the battery's like red, and we see Space Bee kind of like getting shaky. And then we hear the shots in the background, and we're like,
Mm-hmm. Cool. So also, I think that's the only way to give you some hope of actually solving this is doing that actually, because then you get some extra dice for the pool. So I just have to remember how many it was. I think it was 3.
Oh, so and I would get those story points. I don't know if it's useful anymore. Like if you have can you spend a ton of story points all at one time?
I'm not sure if you can do it in the scene. Maybe not normally. No.
Well, the way to spend a bunch at once is when you get a 6 to move to the other pool. Normally we spend plan points for that, but you can spend story points for that too. So if you pile up a bunch of story points, you can burn them to rather than fight the threat after we make the roll, you can spend them to move the dice over.
Right.
So having a pile of them built up is never a bad thing.
Right. The only thing I was thinking was like also revealing the fact that that Emily has a drug problem and doing like the whole flashback scene there, and maybe that's what gives her this courage. I don't know, you know.
Yeah, do it.
Let's do it then. So yeah, the secret was you know, Emily had lost her last job due to drug abuse.
Yeah, and I think I think you see like Emily, she's like, I think she's actually at her like psychologist or something like that.
This is totally where someone tells her that she doesn't care about anybody except herself.
Yeah, and I think the psychologist is saying something like, I mean, you have to maybe like consider that your family and, you know, friends, you can't leave them all just because you don't want to deal with your problems. And I think like Emily just like gets up of like the chair and says something like, I mean, look where caring about people has brought me. That's what everyone says, like, oh, if you care about people, become a doctor, and look what has happened. I think there's like, I mean, I just have to think about myself. At least people won't bother me about my feelings in the research station. And I think like that's the flashback. That's
awesome.
Cool. And then now we have actually 5, because I added some dice because of my death, a voluntarily death here. We have 5 dice against 5 dice. So now let's see for the big drum roll how this goes.
Can we add some more dice? We can add more dice, right? We can do stuff to add more dice.
For the last confronting the crisis, I think you can't, because I resolved this conflict.
Oh, that's right. Okay, yeah.
But the Huskies. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. So. Oh yeah, actually for white dice, build a roll as normal. Actually, so yeah, you can. You can use your story points.
We got all. Yeah, we got a lot of them.
Yeah. So we're in this. We're in the building. I think. How does it look in there?
Oh, I think it's probably. I mean, I think we need something that like it's clearly military. Oh, it's like an old World War II thing that they've repurposed, like, you know, like poured concrete, and maybe it's even got like, maybe it's all in German because it's an old Nazi base that they're using for this, because like that's a total action movie thing. Yeah, and like, I mean, we get in by like whatever, like an old porthole door that we gotta, like, you know, turn the crank on to get in there.
I love that there's old, like super old, like etched, you know, kind of like swastika or other like symbols, but then like that's been kind of like defaced a little bit, and then there's like this US flag like painted all nice and shiny, but it's like near kind of all those other symbols, right?
Yeah, that's cool. Like stenciled on there or something like that. Yeah, and it's like, you know, clearly ancient stuff, but like they've run wires along the, you know, there's like clearly like conduit and like whatever, you know, like coax and you know, whatever, like Cat5 cables in big bundles and fiber optics and stuff like that have clearly been like wired in there. So yeah, that's kind of awesome. So who's gonna
tackle the threats?
So one of us tackles a threat like usual.
Mm-hmm.
And but it's just the 2 of us left, right?
Yeah.
Drones is a technical threat, brother.
Yeah. But the drones, are they still a threat in this case?
I think the bomb is that's the final.
Yeah.
Oh, this is the big threat.
Still,
okay.
That's still a technical threat, right?
Also a technical threat, brother.
Right. Yeah. Which is fine. Like I'm going to hit that. I think, you know, Spacebee's gone, right? Like she ran out of juice on the way to Emily. So it's just the 2 of us now. And yeah, I think there's all that scene, like the stuff we just talked about as far as like the visuals, like there's all that of us exploring and going down these hallways. And
the
then
bomb,
maybe yeah,
the bomb itself is
I think-
suspended in a big pit. So there's like a big pit, and we have to like climb down this ladder to get to it, which is where I reveal that your fear is you're afraid of heights.
Is that my fear?
I think that's your fear. I think that's what you said your fear was, right?
Oh,
That's not my fear.
my fear.
Oh, it's your fear. Oh, so that doesn't really help us.
I do have a fear, though. It was to be caught empty-handed and without tools during a crisis. And now we're sitting here with a bomb, and I don't have like a toolkit.
Yeah, someone can totally. Yeah, whoever's got that for you can reveal that.
Whoever
Sorry,
wants
I'm
the story.
getting confused about who was left and who was right.
Oh yeah, that's Emily's. I mean, we can have that. I guess if you want more story points, sure, let's go. Try to hinder you for your success.
So yeah, I think we go down there, and I probably freak out a little bit. Like, we need to disarm it, but like, what are we going to disarm it with, right? Like, I'm showing you that I've got like nothing, right? But maybe you have to do some kind of like speech shit to me, like get a hold of yourself and.
Yeah, you're helping, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm helping. You know what? Yeah. This is like, I don't know. I don't think that it's a slap in the face thing. It's more of a like, come on. This is, you do stuff like this in your sleep. I've seen you, use gum wrappers on that drone when you didn't have the soldering, whatever, the solder that you needed to fix a connection.
And I think this is where, like I feel around and I realize I still have the control unit, right? And so, I listen to you, and then we see me kind of like smash it, and it's almost like, wait, what? Like, and I smash it on the ground, but like it opens up and there's all these different little components in it, right? And like I pull out one or two of the little, and like rip out one of the little panels and start using that as like a screwdriver, and like just like cannibalizing that to try to take apart or at least the head of the bomb, right? And this is totally one of those scenes where I'm going to be telling you to like hold this wire while I do that, and we have to do it at the same time and all that other kind of bullshit, right?
Yeah, and does Billette use her ability?
Yeah, sure do. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You know what? And I say something like, they've got it over the main fault line. It doesn't, and I say like, it's over the main fault line. They need a nuclear level explosion for this to go off. Even if we can just divert it, we just have to, like, everything needs to be perfect for this to work. We just need to disrupt it a little bit, to kind of try and take some of the pressure off of that. So
yeah, that sounds awesome.
Cool. That's all the dice then. We have 7 white dice and 5 black dice. Let's roll this shit.
I like the idea that maybe it's like a time sensitive thing, like they've set up 2 things to happen at the same time. So if we just delay the explosion by 10 seconds or something, then that'll.
Yeah. But actually, the results are, despite the challenges, your team succeeds in saving humanity, and one of you even lived to tell the tale. So how does this look? What happens? I mean, you don't have to die right here because you're also getting away from the South Pole.
I mean, our action hero is Zanil. That's what we established.
yes,
so,
yeah, totally, yeah. So if the deal is that we need to, So if the deal is that we need to like keep them from blowing up at the same time, then clearly what happens is I think there's some kind of thing where like I end up having to like either hold two wires together, or like I'm there with the snips and you're going to tell me across the radio when to do it, and you've got to get up and go like to the other bomb, and it's thing we're going to try and disarm both of them. And my death card is die by my own hand.
Oh, nice.
So I think it's totally like you're there, you're like, I'm not going to make it. And I say, so this is what the horizon looks like. And I clip the wire, and yeah.
Yeah, and end credits.
Nice.
Oh, well, thank you for playing Our Last Best Hope. It was I kind of I really enjoyed the story we had, and then I might feel like the system is maybe a little outdated, even though it does some interesting things.
So it works a lot better on the table when you can see all the dice, because kind of as you're putting them out there, you can see what's going on. And the other thing is that it is no kidding designed for a full con slot. It is meant to be like a 3.5 to 4 hour game. It's really hard to play it in the amount of time that we had allotted for it if you're going to do it properly.
Because it says on the book 2 to 3 hours. So
yeah, that's a lie.
Yes.
I've never gotten a game where I've never played a game of it under 3.5 hours. Like, and I suspect it's a lot like Fiasco, in that like probably your 5th or 6th game of it where you know the system and don't have to explain it to anybody, you can rock it in under 3 hours. But boy, explaining it, especially online like this, where the dice are not like are way less intuitive because they're not laid out on the table in front of you where you can see them. Yeah, I did. That is a super optimistic time estimate, I think.
But I mean, I was really glad that Mikhail did the calculating stuff. So I was just trying to come up with an explanation for, helping or adding story points or something. And what it actually did, it was not really that interesting to me. So it was positive to add to the mission pool, so to speak. And that's all I need to know.
I mean, I really liked those mechanics that I could see, which is like the secrets and things like that stuff. I thought was really interesting. But yeah, I'm also, thanks, Mikhail, for running it, because like I didn't understand what was going on mechanically, and I felt like because you were there and dealing with it, I didn't have to, and that was fantastic.
Yeah,
I mean, I do have the book on my shelf, so I'm going to definitely look at it afterwards, because I'm like, okay, it can't be that hard, but like I definitely am not grokking it, right? But thanks for managing that part. Sorry, go ahead.
Like, I actually know the game pretty well and was in on the playtest rounds of it and stuff like this. Played it at Origins years ago when it was actually in development and stuff like this. And so I have an understanding of it. But even with that understanding of it, trying to figure it out, like it's this dice pool and then this dice pool, and we roll these dice against these dice, but then we take these dice out and all that kind of stuff and everything. It's like way more complex than it needs to be to do what we want it to do. And like, it seems to me that something like some kind of Final Girl type of thing could totally do most of this with way less complexity than what is built in. But it's a 10-year-old game, so that's maybe not 10 years old, but it's going back.
It's probably a 10-year-old idea at least.
Yes, yeah. Because it like Mark was developing it like right after Fiasco came out. So it had all that Fiasco mechanics built in.
It's published in 2012, I think.
Yes, that's 6 years ago, and he was probably working on it a couple of years before that. So
yeah,
getting there, yeah.
But I really enjoyed playing with you. It was a really. I'm very happy that the system didn't really ruin our story that much.
Part of the story, I think. I mean, the revealing the past stuff, the fears. So, for example, I was not really super sharp, but Ballet had the fear of bleeding out. So, and I couldn't introduce a problem and then reveal the fear, unfortunately. But otherwise, there would be like rotating blades or something that blocking the tunnel to the bomb or something.
Yeah.
So I do think that the mechanics, like all these the fears. I mean, I couldn't rock my saxophone. I don't know why, but it definitely supported the story.
Yeah, yeah. To nuance that a little bit, I really think a lot of the mechanics in the game actually drives in the right direction. It's just the dice pools. It's really just the dice pools. They're too complex. Yeah, I actually I use usually when I do a game, I prepare for like an hour. I think for this game, I've read the book twice from like the whole book, and I watched an actual play of it, and I still that's how much prep I did for this, which is I run a different game a week, so I usually I'm pretty good at grokking games, but yeah, I used some time understanding how this actually works.
I think it's so for me, it's telling that I really like this game, and like this is the big budget disaster movie action role playing game is like a super easy pitch for a con for like a games on demand or something like that, but I have never run it.
Yeah.
Like I like it in theory, but yeah, the like trying to figure out all that dice pool stuff and the thought of having to explain it to people is just too heavy a lift when there's other stuff that does similar kinds of things but don't require as much, that aren't as fiddly.
Yeah, I played the day before yesterday. I played Cthulhu Dark, which is similar. I mean, you also have the countdown mechanism. You can bring in like your background somehow, and it is 3 dice maximum.
Yeah, that's pretty much the 6 years of learning for indie games.
I definitely feel like with this game, I would have to do like a full cheat sheet thing to like keep track of the stuff. Have you guys seen my like Swords Without Master cheat sheet? Like it's here. Let me throw the link in there.
That's another game I love in theory, but have never run.
Oh my God, that game is so fucking nuts.
The weird thing is, I had a discussion with someone in the Gauntlet who told me sort of Swords Without Master is intuitive and easy, and I said no, it is not. I played it with Epidaya. He had this thing on Sundays where he would run Swords Without Master, and I got in one game, and even he got it wrong. So
yeah,
I ran it for the first time like a week ago, and I like we made it work because the 3 of us were story gamers, so we knew like just like this game, like we made it work. But and I kind of get this intuitive sense, like if you do it enough, like you can kind of see it, and then it'll, but like, oh my God, it's so fucking hard to follow. Like I wrote this cheat sheet thing after going through the game like 3 times and trying to figure out how it works. And there's no way you could do it from the actual writing of the game. But even this as a cheat sheet is like fucking dense like crazy, and trying to use it while you're playing is like nuts. So I don't know, like maybe one day it'll make sense. I love what story came out of it, and I could see how the mechanics kind of helped us a little bit do that. But I don't know, like you definitely need to be like a pro. That's the feeling I get.
Yeah, but if you look at my Roll20, I mean, how much more of a cheat sheet can you do than if you look down there as well? It's really like everything in the game, and I still, yeah, but yeah, it was fun playing it, and I'm happy I got to play it because it's a game I'm very curious about. I really like the premise as well, and I think like there's a lot of things to say that's good about the game too. It's just some learning in about how to do dice mechanics in story games that wasn't quite there at the time. But yeah, I enjoyed this game a lot, and I think I'm very happy to have you 3 all-stars carrying me through this
Thanks a lot for running it.
Yeah, thanks.
It's also been on the to-do list for a long time.
Jim, you're muted.
This thing where I've got my days free now is kind of awesome because it means I get to play with a whole bunch of people that I couldn't before when I had my day job. So I'm really looking forward to kind of getting to play with everybody all across the gauntlet is pretty fantastic.
Yeah, it's so cool, by the way, that you run things for the GMT time zone. That's absolutely awesome.
Yeah, there were a couple of months where I posted, and I think you may have even been one of the people that said it. People going, I would play this if it didn't mean I was up at 4 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, you know what? Now that I'm around during the day, I can throw a couple of those up. So yeah, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, I've definitely found this this little corner of the gauntlet like a blessing at this point, because like I've also like I'm in between jobs now, and this